Okay. Okay, I'd like to call this meeting of the Smithfield Township Planning Commission for July to order. First item of business is the pledge of allegiance to the flag. If you could please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item is to approve the minutes of the June 9th regular meeting that have been distributed electronically.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The minutes have been accepted. Any public comments on the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move along to new business. We have the move-in storage land development plan. I believe that's being rescheduled for August 11th.
I'll make a motion to table that discussion until our August 11th. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Next is the Franklin Hill Manor land development plan.
I'll also make a motion that we reschedule that conversation till August 11th. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, now we have two other items that I believe we have people here that would like to make public comments on. First is the Black Buffalo land development plan.
We don't have the applicant here, right?
I don't know, is the applicant here?
Black Buffalo is not here, but there's a number of us from Lake Valhalla that are here.
Okay. So if you have something you would like to say, please introduce yourself, stand up and introduce yourselves.
My name is Lorinda Hallmark Gordon. I reside at 207 Beaver Drive in Lake Valhalla. I'm actually on the lake. We have lots of questions regarding Black Buffalo. It just became to notice to myself. I'm a board member, but I'm more than that, I'm a 53-year resident in Valhalla. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and more than anything, I walk the trail to the back of the airport. There's buildings, there's a lot of buildings, and there's also a Korean flag hanging over the top of the new building. We would like to know how this is going to impact.
I'm sorry, there's a what?
Korean flag.
There's a Korean flag
Yes.
hanging off the top of the building. So we as residents, and there's other people who can speak and ask questions too, but we'd like to know what have they been approved for already? You know, we have wetlands, we have traffic, we have concerns. This was supposed to be a 2-story building. Now it's going to be 5 stories. I'm a teacher, and I can tell you over at Stroudsburg, their middle school is 5 stories. They can't use the 5th floor because there's not appropriate firefighting equipment to put out a fire should there be a fire in that building.
Yeah, that's something they would have to get meet with the local fire company before they could do that.
Well, there's 5 things. There's the traffic, what they propose to do about 209, because it's already squeezed. What have they been approved to build? When are they going to be building? How is it going to affect our community with respect to the wetlands? Because it's on wetlands.
None of that has been in front of us.
Nothing's been
in
done.
front of us yet. There's no,
Well, how and what are they building? And what if we want to know what's going on?
Well, they started building already. Where are we going? If nothing's been approved yet, where
Well,
are we
you
going?
can't talk over one another. I have to take the minutes. I need your name and I need your address.
Okay, my name is Frank Coletta. I live at 101 Lilac Drive. Been living there 25 years.
Thank you, sir.
29 years rather.
okay, there is construction going on.
It's just that, yes, it's just that we haven't been notified.
Okay.
Of anything.
There was a footer there, and I assume it was a previously approved building. There was a footer and a foundation and block already started, and they just finished that off. What it's going to be used for, we don't know. We'd have to check with the zoning officer.
What I'm saying is
But there was no land development being done as part of that. It was already there.
We're not being told, you know, is this?
Well, this is why you're here. This is where you learn. We don't go knocking on doors and telling you what's going on.
Is there going to be any cement flying around? Is there going to be any dumping in our lake? There's not a question that have to be answered.
So in short, Black Buffalo has a land development plan that they presented to us. There was ultimately, we went back and said, much of this is not going to happen because it was on wetlands and a number of things that they were not going to get approval for. So they went back to the, as we understand, went back to the drawing board and we're going to resubmit, and we have now tabled that till August 11th, when they're supposedly going to come back and present what they plan to do. They did buy the property, and they have a number of existing buildings and some existing plots. I don't know what,
And our engineer is reviewing that and has pages of comments for them that they would have to meet before they could do anything. And maybe you could,
Aware that Tom Wolfe put it on his website, that it's the future global headquarters for this company in our backyard. He's endorsing it. He's talking about land grants and.
Who is this?
Our governor, Tom Wolfe.
Oh.
They already.
can you add anything in terms?
You should look on the web.
My name is Angelica Doctora. I live just.
Whoa, start over.
back up again. I'm sorry, ma'am. What's your name?
My name is Angelica Doctora.
Thank you.
TKOBA. I live in Lake Valhalla, just by the lake. Second house from the
That's
lake,
fine.
by the
That's
lake.
good enough.
And I live there for 18 years. And I take the trail probably 2 times per day, every day. We take care of the swamps which are there. We take care of the environment, which are really enjoying all of that. And yes, I went to the website and they already get a grant, this company, from federal, from state, to build this property. And it's hopefully something very big. I don't know if somebody is aware of it, checking it out, and if you would like to really know what is going on, government property in the future, how it's going to impact our ecology, our ecological system, and our life in there. Thank you.
Anything?
Well, I know you all have concerns, and that's understandable, but the property is zoned industrial. It is allowable to build there within the constraints of the zoning, the DEP requirements, and the conservation district. All of those will address traffic, wetlands, pollution, all of that stuff will be addressed. We just don't know what they're doing yet. We had a concept, but as Michael said, that we sent it back, and they can't do it. We're very aware of the wetlands condition there.
Yeah, our engineer is reviewing that in great detail before they would approve anything, before we would vote on anything. So
Let me point out, and I tend to agree with these folks. I've been down there and I spoke with them several times. And they're just going right ahead as though everything were approved. And I asked them if they had permits and they said, oh yeah, we have. I didn't see any posted on the new building. That new building is large, it's quite high. And it is supposedly where they're going to put the smaller of the 2 printers, the 2 big gantry structures that are designed to move very slowly and lay down concrete in these pre-programmed patterns. Just to make a long story short, that's what they're planning on doing. And I asked if they had any other plans for any more buildings, and they said, well, yes, we thought that we were going to, build more buildings, and we're going to use these modules that we build to build them. And I said, well, you're not going to be able to build them on the wetland. We've already rejected that, at least at the planning commission stage, and sent it back. So they do have to represent, and that is what we expect them to do on the August 11th. Now, I suggest you all be there for that one, be here for that one.
I think that, besides all the stuff that's on the internet, and there's a lot, and there's really a lot. Okay? Is that, Mario Scabullo spoke, and within the book, the record, and on the internet, that this company is bringing 70 jobs, okay, to Pocono. I've gone there and I've spoken to people, you know what? They're all from their New Jersey plants. So they are not hiring Monroe County residents for these new jobs. They're bringing people from New Jersey and surrounding areas for these jobs. I'm so sorry, but I've spoken, I've traveled back there with a couple of people and I've talked to people, the buildings are flooded back there. They're all from New Jersey. They're all from New Jersey. So they're not really hiring our Monroe County residents that need good paying jobs, so.
Are they dealing with, is this toxic? Stuff that they're using, is it toxic?
Concrete.
Not that I know of.
It's concrete.
concrete.
It's concrete.
Next to concrete.
Our solicitor would like to say something, the attorney.
Yeah, thank you. just so everyone knows how it works, so you're not trying to figure out what occurs. If someone wants to build something on their land, whether it's a resident or whether it's a business other than a single-family residential development or home, they have to file a plan with the township for the township to approve. It comes before the Township Planning Commission, which is this body. This body recommends, it cannot approve or disapprove a plan. It can only recommend whether the plan should be approved or not approved by the Township Board of Supervisors. When that plan comes in, our township engineer reviews it, looks at it, and says, okay, these are the various things that I think need to be done. For example, one of the plans on the agenda tonight was filed, and the township engineer did a 14-page single-space review letter saying this is what needs to be done in order to make this plan pass muster. So at this point, we don't have that review letter yet from the township engineer as to what has to be done. And then when that letter comes in, it will be shared with the applicant or applicant's engineer or attorney, if they have an attorney, for them to comply. So I agree with Commissioner Shriver that you should be here next month at the Planning Commission meeting, because at that time, it is my understanding Black Buffalo will come in with a revised plan. The township engineer will have reviewed that plan and made comment about its project and what it is doing. And then at that point, the Township Planning Commission can decide, do we want to recommend approval? Do we want to recommend approval with conditions? Do we want to deny approval or recommend denial of approval? So that's how it goes. So nothing is going to occur without all of that review process in place. In addition to reviewing the plan, there's review of stormwater requirements, there's review of soil erosion matters, there's review of a number of other things, such as the wetlands review that will occur. So there should be enough safeguards that the township residents can feel comfortable. However, you come to the meeting and hear for yourself, because even though I may say I think there's enough safeguards, you may disagree, and you certainly have a right to state your piece at that time. So I just want to let you know that's how it's going to work, and nothing's going to happen without you being told. Now, as to the other like work going on or whatever, none of us here are going to know that. Okay. However, hopefully we have the township supervisor chair in attendance, Mr. Pry, and hopefully he will contact the zoning officer and say, go inspect the property, see what's going on. If they are doing something they should be doing, they should be cited.
I will tell you, sir, that they have one building up already, like up, with a roof on it.
Yep.
Up.
Well,
And they have two other ones started. So you're telling us that they're not allowed to, but yet.
well, I can't tell you that, okay? It's an industrial area. They have a right to put in their industry. I don't know enough about the information as to whether this was already approved, and the zoning officer given the permit for this, etc. The zoning officer is going to have to step up and then advise the township as to what is occurring, because none of us at this Diaz know what's going on. We don't go out and inspect things. We act based upon someone telling us something. This is the first time I'm hearing it. I believe it's probably the first time that the supervisor chair is hearing it. So we'll have to take action on it, I suppose. At least check with the zoning officer and see. If he says, no, everything's okay, well, then you go fight with the zoning officer, because that's how it works.
We're saying, whoa, we don't know what they built. There are buildings down there, there's signs that say Black Buffalo.
I'm not being cavalier, man. We don't know the information.
You're saying, what it is that you're saying.
All right. Right.
But in the meantime, they're working.
But in the meantime,
Are they allowed to work?
Make a complaint with the zoning officer and let the zoning officer then take it further.
Are they allowed to work there now?
I don't know that.
Can I say something?
But they are, and they're getting away with it.
Can I say something, please? I told you before, there was a foundation and a footer and partial walls already installed on a building that may have already had a permit, and they just completed that. There was no land development done. If there's other buildings being constructed, I'm not aware of them. I drive by there every day during the week. The other thing I want to say is that we are members of your community. We are volunteers, and we're here for the exact same reason that you're sitting in the audience, because we care about our community. This is the same township that stopped the concrete batch plant from being constructed there. We're very aware of that. So we're doing our best, but we have to work within the constraints of the law.
Yeah, I want to add this point. That's really, really important. Every township has to have an industrial zone. That's by law. So you have to have all.
But they're saying light industrial.
There's a definition in the,
There's a definition in the ordinance, and my understanding is that is our industrial zone. But I mean, that's where you have bygone and all those things. Anyway, I'm not going to make an argument of what that zone is. I'm just trying to tell you what Dave said is we can always say, no, we don't like this project, we're going to deny it. And then if that's legally not allowed to do that, if you're legally allowed to do what you want on your property in the confines of the ordinances, we can't say that. What will end up happening is the township goes to court, spends lots of money, loses, and then they end up doing it anyway. I'm just telling you, that's our job, is to sort of make sure we're sticking to the law as best we can. What I can say is, if it is an allowable use, they would be able to do it, but they can't expand the development of it without a development plan, a land development plan.
Which has not been approved.
Which has not been.
It has not been approved.
So Ron, you said the township, will have an engineering letter at some point. So I'm wondering when that's available. Will it be from the township website, or how should residents get a copy when it's available?
Unfortunately, I'm not the township administrator. I'm just the lawyer. You gotta check with the supervisors as to
I'll speak to that just for a
how
second.
that works.
Just as we've done for the Shawnee Valley PRD Stage 1B site on our page, we will do for the Black Buffalo project or any other project of public input. But that's being worked on. But until we have anything, there's nothing I can put online.
And usually it comes in like a day or two before.
Sometimes.
Correct.
Yeah, sometimes.
I have literally duplicated the Shawnee page to make this page occur. So
And to reiterate, I mean, this township was basically was given a plan, not reviewed by the engineer, just to get feelers, and we basically said, we don't think this passes muster, you won't be allowed to do all these things.
Yeah, it wasn't really even a plan, it was a proposal.
Right.
They just
Concept.
ran,
It doesn't mean that they can't buy a property, it doesn't mean they can't put a sign on it, and it doesn't mean they can't get advertising and grants. You're allowed to do all those things. Whether or not they're gonna be allowed to build out a giant thing on a wetland, and that's something they're not gonna be able to do. So just, as Doug said, come here next week, hear what's being proposed.
Next
month.
Or sorry, next
Next
month,
month.
I'm sorry. What's actually being proposed, and hopefully we'll get it up on the website, you'll see the engineering review.
just let me-
Yes. Doug?
Yeah, as to the Korean flag, I paid a visit down there, and it was when they had the American flag and the Korean ensign side by side, hanging improperly from the cross piece on this giant extruder. Okay. So I went up and spoke to whoever was in charge, the gentleman that was there. I asked him if he was in charge. He said yes, and I said, it's always been my understanding that in the United States, we fly the American flag higher than another country's flag. So please either remove the American flag, and if you want to become a Korean operation, then by all means, you can fly whatever flag you want. But if you're going to fly them both, make sure the American ensign is higher than the Korean flag. So that was, I left it at. And then the next time I went down there, I noticed the American flag had blown up and got hung up on the cross piece, and the Korean flag was hanging there all alone. I don't know if that's the way it is now, but
I was there this afternoon.
so the American flag is still up there, but it's tangled. Is that correct?
Okay, you'll see the Korean flag right now.
Yeah, well, that's not, you know, well, I don't know if it's true or not.
Is-
I'm just saying.
Okay, and is there any other discussion on this topic?
Hi, can I have a moment?
You can be next. Someone is speaking.
Okay.
Industrial. I mean, I know the airport's been there since 1943, right? And there's like 5 different projects. Each one has more concerns than the one before. They're trying to do eminent domain and take a lot of lines through there for this plan. You could go right through Lake Valhalla. There's, Troy's gonna build more moderate income housing. We have 3 of those around us already. As taxpayers, we're really concerned because we pay pretty good money in taxes. Some people don't have children, they're retired, they're still paying a lot of taxes. They're going up.
Yeah.
And you're putting all these low income things around us. It brings in a crime element and everything else. But more than anything, when did it become industrial? Because the airport's been there since 1943. What made it turn? Was it bygone? And if so, when did that happen?
Airport is industrial.
I was
But
told
it's
that
been
that
there
airport was
forever.
always gonna be an airport, that would never change it to anything else but an airport.
I mean,
And yet it's changed.
the problem is, the owner of the airport decided to sell, just as if you want to sell your property.
Should it stay an airport?
No, it can stay in an industrial zone, but it can be whatever the new owners want it to be, as long as it's in the right zone. That's just how the law works in the state of Pennsylvania. Is if you are in a commercial zone, we don't actually have commercial development, economic development
You
zone.
could turn that airport into anything you want.
Not anything you want has to be under our code of ordinances as an industrial use.
And it has to abide by all the environmental.
All the
and
John mentioned.
wetland and
So if you're
stormwater.
90%
Traffic, lighting, everything. Yeah.
To answer your question about how long has it been industrial, I don't know the exact answer to that.
don't
But
know.
I do know that there are townships within Pennsylvania that have no zoning. You can pretty much do whatever you want, wherever you want within the township. But once the township starts growing and people start complaining, they go, oh, we better get zoning. That happened in Smithfield. I don't know the exact date, but my business partner was a supervisor 30 years ago. And I know that it was enforced then. I know there was zoning then. So it's been a long time. At some point, after 1943, the township said, let's create zoning. And that area was considered the
Since then,
industrial zone.
Also, the woman on Zoom, would you like to ask your question? The person on Zoom that had a
Hi.
question?
Yeah, my name is Vicky Osgood, and I am a resident of Lake Valhalla. I live at 121 Magnolia Lane, and I am also one of the Smithfield Township auditors. And I am talking on behalf tonight, just being as a resident of Lake Valhalla. My question is, you said that there was a footer there, but that footer was there before Black Buffalo bought that land. And my question is, when someone buys a new land, aren't they supposed to get a new permit under the new owner instead of using the permit from the previous owner?
That's a question for Ken.
Speaking from my understanding is you don't have to, if you're doing a new plan, you have to, change the name and stuff. Like Bygone was under a different name. Now it's Scannell or something like that. So it had to be re-recorded as that. But I don't think, if one person has a permit to build a house and it's issued to another, I'm not sure that it has to be reissued, but that's a question that I can ask the zoning officer.
But to do anything beyond there, they would need permitting.
Yeah,
Yes.
You can't just decide
Right.
if you're gonna build something. But if something started, for example, building anything in a floodplain, if a home has already been built, you're able to use that foundation. This could be the same scenario with a small layer of brick.
And I'd like to point out one more time, again, this is my broken record. We don't require elevations. Had we required elevations of that footer that Dave was talking about, we would have known what the builder of that footer had in mind in terms of its height, and what the building was going to look like. Now, they've already gone ahead and built it. Another developer has gone ahead and done that. And I honestly don't think they have a permit, but that's for you
You
to
don't know
find
that.
out.
You don't know that.
I don't know that. No, I don't. They claim that they did have a permit.
And Jacob, you'll check
didn't see it
with
posted.
zoning officer tomorrow. Thank you.
Don't they have to post a permit, David?
Yeah.
Nothing posted on that building.
Go with these photographs that I've taken as a progress, because I've been monitoring it since it came to my attention 2 months ago. And I have to be honest with you, there's progress. And I'm home with for Lurishka, so I walk a lot. And I walk back there, every other day. Angelica walks past twice a day. So we've really been watching it, and it's going up fast. That footer that really tall one, it's been there since before I started watching it. So it's been there for probably a month and a half, 2 months.
That's a big building.
It's very tall. And also, the other thing I wanted to tell you is that, some of the kids in our neighborhood have gotten involved with this, and they went over to the EMS, because there's a heliport there.
Yeah.
They didn't know anything about this, which I thought was really curious, because they're at the very beginning of that road.
I asked
But they
them
knew
to.
nothing about it, because I contacted them about the fireworks problem, and they said that it really interrupts their flight path when there's fireworks, so the fireworks was like brought down, thank God that it did. But again, the heliport, the EMS services, they knew nothing about it. And they're the first building on the right when you go on that road.
Yeah.
I have a question, like in addition, what is the definition of light industrial zone? Because I am coming from Europe, I'm coming from a town where concrete is used everywhere. For the building houses, for the building of big huge structures. And it requires a lot of stone, a lot of material coming back and forth. And this is manufacturing, very limited to consider. Because this is not going to be only like small things, bring back and forth. This is going to be huge impact. Not only for us, who lives over there.
Right.
For us. And our roads are not very.
So just looking up right now, it is available online, our definitions. So you can look it up on Smithfield. He's looking it up right now, and if you want to,
Do we know if that area is light industrial?
I don't know.
It's zoned M1. It is the industrial zone. There's a-
Industrial.
Not light
It's not like
There is
industrial,
a
it's
singular industrial zone.
It may have been always light there, but it is, which means you can have light, but there could have been a power plant there
Oh,
all
she's
the
got a
time.
question.
If that's the way it's sound, actually, I don't know.
There are two types of uses, and when you define manufacturing light, it says the manufacturing predominantly from previously prepared materials of finished products or parts, including processing, fabrication, assembly, treatment, and packaging of such products.
What was that definition again?
Light manufacturing. The definition of manufacturing is the mechanical or chemical transformation of materials or substances into new products, including the assembling of component parts, the manufacturing of products, and the blending of materials such as lubricating oils, plastics, resins, or liquors.
They are definitely industrial manufacturing.
Both of those are allowed in M1.
Miss, yes, do you have a question? Your name?
Ma'am, can you give me your name, please? Caitlin? Caitlin what? Thank you.
And I want to know why this specific location in all kinds of right here, where we all live, where, there's way more people that live in this for how many people speak. And the company picked this specific location, so why this location?
That's my daughter that you spoke. I don't do that, the lady spoke over here that she's from Europe. Well,
Sir, what's your name?
James, that's my daughter.
Okay.
I live in Lake Bahad. I'm from Africa too. I mean, I immigrated here like 20-some years ago. And they used to build with concrete. Like building houses with concrete, they don't have the land close to residential areas. So I want to know why they chose this location, why they know that it's a huge residential area. There will be pollution, there will be a lot of noise, and not know what material they use.
Can I respond to that?
Property was for sale and they bought it.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah, please.
There's a lot of people. out there.
All right, let me
Please.
respond to that.
Please.
They're not producing concrete. They're have you all seen the new technology of 3D printers? Sit on your desktop and they put plastic in it and they go, zzz, 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 and they build something. Well, that's in essence what they're doing with these, only they're using concrete and they're making houses. Go on YouTube and search, 3D printing of houses. That's what they're doing. So they're making the printers there, then they ship them to 20 miles away, 100 miles away, wherever. They assemble them on the site, and then they bring the concrete trucks in and they build the house, disassemble it, and they're done. So what they're going to be doing there in this building is the manufacturing of the 3D printers, not concrete trucks coming in. They may have them once in a while when they're doing their testing.
Pillars, like there's a couple pillars on the site already.
Yeah.
Of these pillars, they're like 6 foot, 8 foot tall.
Right.
And they're these concrete pillars that look, they've additive manufacturing, absolutely.
Right. They're just doing testing there. That's all they're doing.
Testing.
Well, that's part of the
They're
process.
doing- Yeah, they're building structures that they can then show to contractors and developers.
Samples of the product. Yeah.
So they can show samples on how it works.
Yeah.
How the concrete's laid down in these layers. And there, I don't believe they have any plans to build actual modules there.
Well, they wanted to, and that was the part we said they can't.
That's right. They said, we're gonna build modules and we're gonna put together a whole little community of places on the airport where we're gonna have people living and people working and recreation and so forth. And we said, no, you're not. That's not gonna happen because right now, as far as we can see, it's not permitted. You can't build a residential community
Industrial.
on an industrial site.
Their website has everything laid out that they can do.
Yeah,
And to answer why the property was for sale and the company bought it, basically. And it was zoned industrial, so they thought that would be a good place for their business. That's the only reason.
Let's face it, we're actually trying to understand that we don't want to get any of that dust in the air.
Sure.
And you know, we're gonna have to live, we live there, we have to breathe that in.
The Conservation Society will be all over that.
We've been trying to keep that lake so clean, we've been trying to get rid of the lily pads, and now we're right next door to it. You got a plant like that that's gonna come in and could
Okay,
destroy that whole lake.
don't confuse this with the old concrete plant that
No.
we fought years
The
ago.
rock quarry, right? They want to
No,
build a rock
no,
quarry.
yeah, no. They wanted to build a batching plant, which was going to bring bags of cement, of concrete, pour it, mix it,
It wasn't accepted.
and then the trucks were gonna go out
was
with
denied,
loads
right.
of concrete. It was, we denied it. It went to 2 levels of the court, and when it finally got to the highest level of court, it got rejected and turned back to the.
Miss, you had a comment or question?
My name is Madison Gillis. I live on Long Bang Road Lane. I'm literally right across from the lake. I live in mailboxes.
Yes.
So I'm gonna have a fact of the home in the Fairview factory building. I moved here about a year ago from Jersey. To get away kind of from all that industrial noise, all that pollution. I mean, I couldn't even see the stars at night where I used to live here. I have fear of Christmas.
Yes.
And it's just like, well, that's gonna either cause a lot of pollution, whether it be light pollution or waste, which we have a whole responsible. I know it's different for you, but I've been.
Oh, yeah, we have these
They have
swans,
that for 30 years.
We have these gorgeous swans.
They've been on the lake for 24 years.
Yeah.
And they haven't been back in the past 5 years. But I think it's just crazy.
Okay.
And
I think
another thing
they
is
should
all
have
the
the-
health,
Sure.
issues that this might
They should let the
cause.
developer answer these questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should shut that.
Let's shut this down.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. And I think we'll have a lot more information next time, once we get the review letter from the engineer, and the developer will be here that can answer a lot of these questions. So the 11th at 7 o'clock.
Especially the other company that's running them, same thing. They've been around for 2 years. I
Okay.
mean, we don't really know what they use and everything. We're not
Okay.
gonna know anything about
Right,
them.
right. And I don't know that we can,
We can't answer those
solve any of that tonight, but
So
thank
why
you.
don't we just wait till next Thursday? You can ask them all directly.
And next month. Yes, thank you. All right. I think we're gonna move on. No, you're very welcome. I understand your concerns, certainly, folks.
I make a motion, we table the Black Buffalo Land Development discussion until August 11th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it's tabled.
If you want, if you're here for that and you want to go, you can.
Yeah.
But you can stay too.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank
We'd
you.
love to have it.
Right. That might wait on that.
Well,
That's on the agenda. Yeah, in that order.
you're right.
What's Toby else?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Level,
You missed a few letters.
without the E's, yes.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Shawnee Valley Final PRD Land Development Plan, Stage 1B.
We need both letters. Or is this-
Is there, s-
You and I can share, right?
we do have engineering letters, several.
Missy's here to discuss that, right?
Yeah, well,
I think you have in your packet
we do. We have
the June letter, which
July-
was the acceptance of review letter.
June 9th.
So you can get by that.
June 9th, and then
One that you want to look at is the July
July
13
13th.
one, which is
extensive,
review of the plan.
yeah, 14 pages.
Okay.
You've had a chance to review that.
No, we just got that. so. But our engineer's here, so.
Before we go, can I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
Just to set myself, I understand it's an old plan was developed. A new proposal came forward. And then this is yet a new one, another one.
So previously, the tentative approval was given for basically the layout of stage 1B. So under the PRD now, they have to submit basically a final plan for the PRD, which is more design, more detail. So it's basically a land development.
But what we have here are the older ones, and they've not
This is the
been
newest
updated.
one.
You have the newest one there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the plan.
The applicant filed an amendment for 2021. There could not be a consensus reached with respect to that. So the applicant has gone back to the 2005 preliminary tentative plan that is per the settlement orders and agreements. They have a right to proceed with, and so that's what we're here for. We're here for the
That's what I understand.
2005 plan.
So the
Okay,
new plan that had been submitted, I'm sorry, just to cover, new plan that had been submitted that the Shawnee Preservation Society was indicating was
withdrawn.
against the settlement has been withdrawn. This is a new
Been
one.
withdrawn. We're at the 2000.
It's the old,
Or an older one.
the old is
Not
now
older.
new.
If I could clarify further, my name is Ted Hunter, manager of Shawnee Stage 1 LLC. In December of 2005, the Smithfield Township Board of Supervisors approved the 2005 Shawnee Valley PRD tentative plan. That includes a stage that's already been built, which was the Woodland Village, the Oakdale, and the three communities, North Slope, parts of North Slope. And those were built during the late 90s. The 2005 plan sets the land use pretty precisely. And the 2005 plan was evolved around numerous environmental issues to protect wetlands, to deal with the habitats, wildlife habitats, and so on. So the 2005 plan sets the course for the layout of stage 1B. The only thing we're seeking today and applying for is the final approval for construction of stage 1B, which consists of a specific part within the overall PRD and it's the final engineering. So it's laying out the precise geometry of roadways. We've got the swales and drainage basins. We've got all of that engineering. Those engineering documents have gone through U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and Pennsylvania DEP, and we have our Joint 105 permit, which was granted in 2021, and is a 5-year permit for it. It has NPDES approval for stormwater management, which was granted in 2020 through 2025. It has the Monroe County Conservation District approval. I'm trying to think, there's so many approvals, but
Though we don't have our, we are in the application process and working through the engineering details with PennDOT for the highway occupancy permit for one connection, which is Hollow Road, where the connecting road connects to Hollow Road. And that intersection has been designed, gone through preliminaries with PennDOT. We are ready to continue the final scoping and the final engineering approvals with PennDOT. So the outside agency work has guided a lot of exactly what the engineering is for the plans today. The plans consist, I believe, 294 residential units. We're not doing a concrete plant, which I'm glad that you're not doing a concrete plant. It's 294 homes in total of different home types. Level Engineering has issued the, again, I want to also point out, in 2005, these plans had received final approval once before by Smithfield Township Board of Supervisors in the Senate. The final approval was granted on stage 1B. I'm sorry. I was saying that the plans were once approved, given final approval by Smithfield Township. But time has lapsed and we're wanting to make sure we have a final approval that's current, or the current plans, including the various minor adjustments that are being made for the environmental work. So the drawings are the current drawings. We have not had a chance, obviously, to go in detail to look through the analysis that's been provided by engineering. I can comment that my team will need to look through each one of the comments and respond accordingly. We're not even sure we understand some of the comments. We're not sure all of the information may already be ready to hand in, and just wasn't present for level to do. Mr. Hunter, just so I'm clear, the first part of this project where you said Woodland Village, Oakdale, and North Slope.
Yes.
Part of North Slope. We're in the 90s. That would, I'm assuming that's stage 1A. Correct. Okay.
I'm sorry, you're going to.
Yes, I just wanted to expand on a little bit what Ted said. So yes, in 2005, the supervisors did approve the plan. It was approved with conditions. So basically what we did with this letter is we went through those conditions and we double checked everything. That's what this is.
That's what the letter on.
That's what this
13.
is, yes. And we did check the stormwater management ordinance a little bit, and we had one major question that I pulled is just missing information since they do have their MPDS permit. So,
I'm going to assume it is also, but until we know, we don't.
right, right. But the bulk of this letter is our comments on the conditions that we do not know if they've been met.
And let me say, Mr. Chair, that and it's not ended quickly or whatever, but if you look at the deadline for this plan, it can be officially approved as late as August 23, 2022. So in theory, you could allow the applicant an opportunity to have his planning professionals look at the engineer review letter, come back on August 11 for a final review, and then get to the supervisors meeting on August 23 and still be timely
Within the
without
time
needing
frame.
an extension.
Yeah, and go ahead.
I would just say, often what we've done in this case, if there's something the applicant knows will be a challenge to meet, we'd like to meet the criteria spelled out. We'd love to know that. Before we, I don't know if you had a chance to review the letter in detail. It came out yesterday. I know.
I've scanned it and read through it, but to be able to say that we know there's a landmine that we haven't figured out how to solve.
Okay, that's it. That's it.
There's
Something you don't think.
Yeah, there's 14 pages of comments from the engineer. So you're gonna, yes. Is there anything you would want to highlight particularly, and at least 14 pages right now, or not?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
There was one item about the fire trucks accessing. There were two conditions that involved them needing to go to the fire company to make sure their turning movements work throughout the
Right,
development.
right.
If they don't work, then they have to change the radii of their roads.
I would love to speak to that, but go ahead.
But I think that might be the major, like, planning item, because the other information in the letter is more stormwater related.
And I see a lot of things we're saying, can you please provide this
Yes,
document, which
yeah,
is I suppose
yeah.
what you have.
Yeah, there's hundreds and hundreds of pages.
And are there a number of variances that you think they're gonna go apply for, or that?
I don't believe they need zoning relief. There might be a waiver or two from the saldo. But as far as zoning goes, that's all been settled.
From a process point of view, we just received the letter. I guess it was yesterday.
It was yesterday.
Yeah, it's dated the 13th,
I'm not repeating that.
dated the 13th, yeah.
So Melissa and I haven't had a chance to.
No, understandable.
to
Sure,
talk.
yeah.
I've spoken with two of the team members of the team, probably one other. And of course, it's summer and there's vacation, so I'm dealing with that. But our team has to go through it, and to some extent, we need some conversation on to make sure we know what the question is.
Sure.
And whether we have the answer or have to create. For the fire department, one of the things that concerns us when Shawnee Valley Drive was built on, one point I was a board member of the Shawnee Valley Owners Association. And one of the most common problems that community's had is speeding. Roads are wide, very straight, and we intentionally trying to what's called traffic calming, where we want to use the radius and the shaping of the roads to keep the roads a little bit slower and a little more residential character. At the same time, we want to make sure fire safety is dealt with. So I haven't yet, now that we have the letter, I have a roadmap, and it will include meeting with the fire department and talking about the radius issues. The number of 150-foot radius, which was in the letter. I don't know what that's some sort of an ordinance, but you could turn an airplane in 150 feet. So I'm curious as to what the fire department's actual needs will be. Other developments will overlay the fire department equipment and the downfield where how wide the swing and all that stuff. And certainly less than 150 feet. They have to be able to turn around and just call it. So I don't.
Of course.
We don't want to make it straight away. We don't want to broaden the curve and have people else. And then reviewing the letter, Mr. Chair, I'm looking at page 6. Number 3, it looks like the only saldo waiver, and it might even be a saldo waiver, might be a stormwater waiver, is a tree board issue. So that's the only one I could find in reading the letter.
Okay, number 2, all right, yeah.
I assume these are all gonna have central sewer water.
No, I'll make it. And then also, this is the water company.
Central water?
Yes. Connected to the utility.
Right.
Make a motion, we table this until the August meeting. Give the
Can I
applicant a
just
chance
make
to review.
one comment? It sounds like you've got, go ahead. Okay, no, my question is, it sounds like there's a lot to go through. Yeah, and if it should happen that for one reason or another, you don't think you're going to be ready by August the 11th, what would the procedure be, Ron, for them to get an extension?
It's a month.
Mr. Hunter would have to give us a written extension. And whatever time is appropriate. Remember, the extensions are given by the applicant, not the township.
That's what I was saying.
The applicant gives the extension because the 90-day time limit is put in there by law to make sure a township doesn't jerk a developer around and
That's right.
say, we're gonna just ignore you.
Right.
So if it can't be done within the 90-day window, the applicant can grant an extension. Sometimes an applicant will say, and I'm not saying Mr. Hunter would do this, no, I'm not going to grant the extension.
Right.
Then your recommendation has to be, okay, if you haven't met our ordinance, we're going to recommend denial. There's a middle ground I'm hoping that might exist. I have one specific example. And let me, excuse you for a moment, and if he files a revised plan, then the
90
90
days
days starts
starts.
again.
Starts
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
So,
That was your question.
whatever these guys tell me.
Okay. I hope answering the question is covered. I'll use an example though, where the other thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, we could ask for approval with conditions.
Yes.
If we can't complete something by the deadline, and I'll give a specific example that we will not have the high occupancy permit done by the time deadline, because it takes
PennDOT,
months to go through PennDOT. So it's a condition of final approval.
Right.
So that's a condition.
That's
We have
happened.
done that.
That's happened often, and it deals
Yes,
with
regularly.
outside agency approvals.
Right.
PennDOT approval, Monroe County Conservation
Right,
District,
conservation, especially.
et cetera. Okay, and only the internal approvals could be an issue if we needed the
Right.
township sewage officer to still comment, or the
Right.
township zoning officer. Other than that, you can't hold up a plan if only outside agencies are what is out there, so. So he would be right, so if he comes next month and everything looks good, and the only thing out there are the outside agency approvals, I'd have to recommend to you that you would recommend conditional final plan approval with those conditions.
Conditions.
Those conditions.
So I have a motion on the table.
Wait, do you want to have public comment or no?
Oh,
Yeah, there are people who have questions or comments. Yes, just please stand and give your name.
I'm committing ours a little, which is awful, and the things that are really depressing, but anyway, couple things. Is there gonna be the wetland delineation where everybody will know where the wetlands are gonna be, flags and whatnot? Is there any approval that from the wetland people and the bottom people?
Yes, go ahead.
Because, yeah, we're kind of waiting back to hear back some comments about that, bog turtles and wetlands. And then where is this road gonna be coming back, that you're waiting for the highway acquisition?
I think I can tackle both those questions.
Go ahead.
I'll start with the road first. If you know where the entrance to the Sun Mountain Recreation Club is, where the trees that kind of died and you kind of put them. That is the general location. It's about 125 feet toward the ski shine from where that current driveway is. So it's trying to maximize the sight line from the curb you get that straight. That's where the intersection is.
How are you gonna get across then from the island?
So that's where the connection is.
It's right there, Hollow Road, but yeah.
On how that-
So it's not gonna go back up through the other.
They cross, the road crosses the top of the Sun Mountain Dam. The two abutments, the 55 feet apart, has been designed and engineered along the four of the dam there. Well, it was rebuilt in 2014.
We live right up there, and when that water comes down,
It's right down,
I
right
mean,
there.
you guys see the water that comes down, I mean, it's washing away Hollow Road. That's
Right
where
at
all
the
that
camp road.
stuff that comes down Hollow Road, where they gotta take the bulldozer and straight Hollow Road.
Which spot are you talking about?
Wherever you wanna bring your road out on the
Right where the
island.
road goes, the water.
I can't engineer the other side of the mountain around the very fact we don't know anymore.
No, but the water comes across the
But-
road.
And the dam that you're talking about driving across is mud.
So that's not.
That would all have to be dug out, put stone in to put a road across there, and that's all wetland.
That's not.
It's not, huh?
No, that it brings it.
I'm in there all the time. Somebody pulled all the stakes, pulled all the ribbons. It was all marked wetland. What happened to all the ribbons in the stakes?
It's still wetland.
When you say
But not the top of the dam.
there's stormwater remediation, does that mean just in a matter of minutes dumping all that water into the Shawnee Creek?
Absolutely not. No, there's legal requirements that are absolutely.
We changed that just about enough.
When they did the
I'll
runoff,
be happy to answer your question, but I need time to be able to really answer. it. I'm sorry.
when they
So
did
then
the
you
runoff,
think that.
No, let me
they're not gonna
explain,
give you
let me try and
that
explain.
occupancy permit for
No.
that entrance there, but what
Yep.
happens?
Guys, let them answer one question at a time.
answer your questions with an election. I have to. And I'll try and do this up. The point I was going to make is the law and the engineering requirements. That's why there's hundreds and hundreds of pages of calculations and studies. Let me answer this wetland question first. They're both important. They're both important. You're in trouble. And you brought it before about stormwater management. And we talk about wetlands first, wildlife wetlands. Wetlands first. We have to go through the Army Corps of Engineers and site and stake out where the edges of the wetlands are. And there are pockets. Some of them are very beautiful, wonderful wetlands. There's a few things that you say that's really, it's a wetland. And there's minor crossings, it's less than 0.29 acres. As we develop these acres, it's what 0.29 or some odd small number of acres. But we have a road crossing that has to cross in the second wetland. We have to rebuild a new wetland where they describe it as
No such thing.
the Shawnee Lake has a beautiful wetland, it's man-made. It's something they created. We actually are going to be planting and building a new wetland area where we used to be a softball field. You know the softball field? That area where the softball field used to be on the top edge of Sunrise Lake. We're going to be having a gradient and pull in. It's pretty crap. That's a gradient and there's a softball. That's where the wetland mitigation happens. So the amount of wetland is greater after it's built. Second thing, the wildlife survey was done and determined two things. There's the back of and it requires the tree trimming only having to certain feet so the rate of that control that. The second is not our property. Our property does not have ball fields. They don't have them down the street. They're up above. They're up above. And I'll have.
We have property. We know what we do.
There's a ball turtle habitat management.
Putting all the traffic on the road.
That water rushing down.
The third is
No, when.
the third is stormwater. And to your point, I'm going to answer the question about stormwater. The various stormwater management is a function that you have to have construction stormwater management. Means after construction, you can't have water greater than when you start before you start construction by law. And to do that, you have filters, barriers, collecting ponds, all kinds of different things that flow the water and hold it so that it doesn't release. And that's part of the 14 pages of comments.
They have to comply with.
Big watershed over there.
I've got the drawings of that water. It's part of it. So we're doing it responsibly as we do development.
Plenty of that these guys all have, is there something that we can look at?
It's all online.
This, I found right here, I'm at the end, they come up with this.
Before we let them go more,
This,
let more traffic on the road, we better fix
Maybe
some
you
of
could-
our roads.
well, I can't help you there.
Okay. You have,
That'd be Ted.
all right, we have another question. We have another question. Yeah, so we have another question. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anthony Giovanni. I am an attorney with the Office of Rockland. Being a municipal solicitor myself, I'm fully aware of the public comment portion of the meeting, so I won't be barraging you with a lot of questions. My office represents the Shawnee Preservation Society, and I'm here tonight on their behalf. And very briefly, I just want to tell the planning commission that it is our position that this stage 1B final plan for Shawnee PRD should not even be entertained tonight, as it contradicts the terms of the 2009 settlement agreement between the developer, their successor in interest who is here tonight,
Shawnee Preservation Society, various individuals, as well, and very importantly, Smithfield Township. We fully recognize and respectfully understand that this is not the proper forum to have that debate. We will address it accordingly. We respectfully wanted to get this on the record. Thank you very much.
Certainly could offer some response. The Shawnee SPS and developer and Smithfield Township the SPS settlement agreement. And it's signed by Brian Barrett, Mr. Babone, Wallander, D. Bauer, and Barbour. On the fifth page, item C, reservation of rights. The agreement that we agreed to at that time was the parties agree that SCI has a final unchallenged right to proceed with the 2005 amended tentative plan. I can't be more clear than that. So I'm not sure what the ground is.
Yes, but wasn't this all before the development was built behind the lake? And Shawnee ski area?
What was the date on that?
Dump more water down through.
That was the 2009 that you were referencing?
I think it's talking 17 years.
Pete?
You can start all over with a new plan.
I'm Pete Sauvigny, a resident and retired engineer. And I'd like to respond to his quote. Yes, in the settlement agreement, he was granted the right to proceed with the 2005 plan. But that's out of context. The very next sentence says he was given the right also to proceed with the 2007 plan as modified by the settlement agreement. And that's the plan he chose to proceed with. He's been proceeding with that plan for a decade. He proceeded with that plan to the point where he sold the land for stage 2 and 3, which are a key part of the 2005 plan. He no longer owns the land to accomplish the 2005 plan. And he has not submitted the 2005 plan to you, just a small segment of it. So he really is still in violation of the agreement. The 2005 plan obviously cannot be proceeded with now. It's not viable. And to correct something, my interest is not in stormwater. It's in stream quality. I live on the stream and I'd like to prevent another fish kill. There was a fish kill in 2014 when they rebuilt the dam. I'd like to not see that happen.
We'd have to talk to Pennsylvania Dam Safety for me to get out of that one.
It's within the PRD area.
But the law made us do that. We had to lower the weight. I understand we didn't like to do it. But
It wasn't lowering it that killed all the fish downstream. It was the way it was raised.
so the
We
2005
have documentation.
plan isn't in question. It was approved, it's remained in approved and has, and again, we have the final unchallenged right. The ownership of a stage or a piece of land is not a function of how the zoning overlays that piece. So Oakdale is still in the Shawnee Valley PRD. It is owned by dozens and dozens of owners. They have their own association now, but it's still in the PRD. It's not owned by us.
Where is that located?
What's that?
The Oakdale. Is that on this plan?
Just so I understand what Vic said, this
David, looking at a different plan.
legal document says that
This is Shawnee
Valley Drive here. 2005 plan.
This is
you're
Oakdale.
saying this is only part of the 2005 plan?
Correct. The 2005 plan had 4 stages in it.
Okay.
And he sold off the property for stages 2 and 3. They're now part of the park.
This is the
So
lake,
it's
and this is a dam.
This is
Road
1B.
over the
This
dam.
is
That's
1B.
what they didn't want.
That's the lake?
This is the lake.
I guess that's
This
a
is Sun
question.
Mountain Lake. This is Shawnee Lake.
Okay.
May I?
These are.
Yes, go ahead.
I would just think this is a question for our own council to understand whether a part of
This is,
a
there's a
plan
pool right there.
constitutes from a
This
legal
is a
perspective.
hill. This is the, they're building.
the plan. I mean, I don't, I honestly have no idea.
I would make a comment and then ask Ron to answer the question. You're right, Ron. I'd like Ron to answer the question. But when the land was sold to National Park Service, it didn't change what was planned for the land. The National Park Service decided it. They're doing it. In fact, the agreements were such that we couldn't change it and reduce it and say it was conservation land or otherwise Park Service couldn't have bought it. And we signed amendments to fix that issue. So theoretically, the Park Service has land that could develop its houses. Obviously, they won't, that's nothing that they're doing. But that plan is still the plan.
The difference of the plan is less development than, is that,
Well, the National Park Service.
they're not gonna
portion is
develop
gonna
it.
be developed. And that's still a success for SPS and for the people on the town.
Martha?
My perspective is we have a contract with Ted and a contract with the town. And here's where he's trying to get out of it. So our contract is states that all other clauses in the settlement must be here to no, there's a justification, only buffer on Mount Lane, 300 buffers in the lake, 150, 13, 150. The road is on, Shawnee Lake Dam, non on mountain, all those other clauses must be adhered to. And as people are saying, move forward already with changes consistent with the settlement.
I have a question for you, Ron. Is this dispute over what plan is to be reviewed by us, ours to make? I mean, we're told that this is the plan to review, and there's a dispute over, is that even relevant to us?
It's a two-sided question, if you will. Certainly before you is the 2005 tentative plan asked to be made final, so that's clear, okay? You are getting questioned, not you're getting questioned, but the Shawnee Preservation Society, perhaps some other individuals were saying, you can't look at this plan because either it's not correct, or it's stale, or the Shawnee is not following the agreement, okay? I have said at other meetings, and I'll say it again here this evening, that if someone can give me case law to show that what he is doing is improper, I will be happy to reconsider my position and maybe jump on the other side. But right now, that language is clear. And the township is a part of this agreement. Can the township now say, oh, no, we don't agree with that? Now they're saying, well, he's in violation of this agreement. Okay, show me where he's in violation on the 2005. Not the one that he was going to do, the 2005.
Well, they're saying, I'm paraphrasing, that you can't go back to the 2005.
I don't know.
The bottom line
Why
is,
not?
I don't think it's for
You
us
got
to
a court
decide.
order that says you can.
Oh.
Ron, do you mind if I ask you a question? I don't want to hijack it. Planning commission meeting. My question is, it seems like it's a respectfully, they're arguing that it's a binary choice and that Ted has already chosen the 2007 plan, therefore does not have that right on the 2005 plan, even though it says in the agreement, because we started something else, right?
No, I'm saying because because of the action he's taken, the 2005 plan is no longer achievable. It cannot be built as spelled out.
I'm asking you, and then Martha, you're saying he already chose 2007,
He did, good.
right? I'm just trying to understand.
Nothing in the 2005 plan changed between 2005 and 2007. Stage 1B was set in stone. The things that changed in stage 1B from 2005 to 2007 was up in stage 4 and all stage 2 and 3.
That's the basis upon which I'm at least making my preliminary opinion that there is no change from 2005 to 2007. So the issue really is for stage 1B. So there really is no issue with respect to that. What I want to know is I want to know how he is in violation of this agreement from whoever may be making that.
Well, I get,
And I don't know if that needs to be on your plate. All I'm saying.
I'd like to make a motion because we could spend the whole night here. The bottom line is, I don't think our involvement in that battle, it's not us to decide. Our involvement is to review a plan
Let's present it.
and it's presented to us and review the engineer's letter. And I already have a motion on the table for that. I'd like to amend that motion. And I'll make a motion that we table these plans until the August meeting to allow the applicant time to respond to the comments and request an extension if needed, and also to have legal parties do what they got to do to determine what plan is valid.
I prefer not to have that in there.
Well, can you make 2 motions? Because I think I want to amend that second part.
All right, so I'll go with my first motion that we table this until the August meeting.
Then I can't. I guess we could, because then it's tabled. We can't talk about it.
All right, make the first one.
No, I think what you're trying to say is we need to understand we're going to go with, it's something on legal issues, we're going to go with what our counsel says, right?
Right.
Because we're not the legal, he's the legal. He's saying he needs something from the Shawnee Preservation Society attorney that explicitly spells out what of this 2005 plan that has been submitted is in violation of the settlement. So if the Shawnee Preservation Society can be very, very specific of which parts of this plan, the 2005 plan, are in violation of settlement agreement, that should be shared with council.
It helps. In fact, Martha was good enough with the other plan to say, the 2001 plan, this is what's in violation here. And I don't remember what they were, but she gave me a pecking order. And I said, okay, that's something to consider. And that could be why the applicant said, you know what, I'm walking away. I'm not saying that's why, it's the applicant's decision. But I need to know that, because right now I see no difference between 2005 stage 1B, 2007 stage 1B, and in view of a settlement agreement that says he has an unqualified right to proceed with 2005 1B, and we're a party to that. She got a court order that says we're a party to that.
So I'm not making a motion because I'm just making sure the Shawnee Preservation Society hears this, that I believe the planning commission is going to have to go with what the council says. So if there is some information that can be very specific, that can be shared with council, that's what you should do. There's no motion because there's nothing for us to actually do. Just want to make sure it's
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we table this until the August meeting to give this applicant, give the applicant time to respond to the engineer's comments.
Second.
In favor? Yes.
65 years been in there.
All right, let's vote on this motion.
No, we don't have to vote. We can hear it.
If there's comment, they comment. If there's any further comment, and then you can take your vote.
Go ahead. Yes.
My name is Joan Barnwell, and my husband Steve and I are residents of Shawnee. And I'm not a lawyer. I can't address the legal aspect of this. You're right, the attorney has to come up with that. But just as a comment, I have to say that an agreement with the settlements agreement is still acceptable. Had issues with it. Spoke to the person who presented the company that presented the plan, received the settlement so that the applicant knew what the resident was happy with. And now that they couldn't go ahead with what they had agreed in the settlement, now they're saying, well, the settlement didn't exist, we're going back to the original plan. That seems to be like, in general, bad faith. And I'd like someone to give me a reason why we are expected, since this affects those of us who live here, who already live here, not the ones who are going to be moving in, why we should have trust for either the applicant or the various boards that are making their decisions. I'm very disappointed.
Well, I think what Ron, what Ron was saying, it went through the courts in 2005. And this is what the courts decided.
Well, there was a
But then
settlement.
they agreed to a settlement.
There was a
after the
settlement.
courts decided. So that's why is that settlement now considered null and void?
It's not considered null and void. It's being relied upon.
That's what we're,
Page
that's what
5
we're
of the
following.
agreement Says he can do what he's doing. If you guys didn't want to do that, then it should have been done.
Agreement with you that says that we have an agreement, but if you don't like it, you get to change it later.
This is the agreement that was prepared by an attorney who was not me,
It is legal.
but was by your attorney and the attorney for the solicitor at that time.
However, bad faith and untrustworthy.
Well, I disagree with that.
I'm not going with you, sir. I'm
I
not
disagree
going
with that, but you certainly are entitled to your opinion.
You can slip off, you know, you can put things into an agreement and then come back and, you know, fiddle with them in such a, and I'm sorry, I'm getting, I used to get emotional. I'm sorry. I don't want to get emotional. My husband and I live here. This is our forever home. We both said that the only way we want to live, we want to leave Shawnee is keep her in a home. This is our home. This is already our home. This is already there.
Us as well. I do too, yeah.
So, I mean, law, is the law supposed to serve the people or are the people supposed to serve the corporation? I don't understand. I'm sorry, this is just my feeling and I wanted to get it out there. I hope I haven't offended anyone.
No, you're fine.
I don't think you can read the whole flow, one little line and you're now having more than the entire rest of the film.
It's not what it does.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Then, are there any other comments on the motion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Next on the agenda is old business. I don't know that there's anything we need to discuss there.
Motion we table the old
No,
business.
That just comes every week.
Carried over
Yep.
At the request of Commissioner Bauer, to make sure that.
Right, no, I know that. So nothing's changed on any of that.
Nothing's changed.
Okay. So A and B under 7, we're done with that. Okay, any new business? If not, motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Where the hell, Scott? He would be livid. He would be so mean to these people.
I was the planning commission chair when 2005
This
plan.
is all going on out there, God. And, well, I'm a member of the Shawnee Preservation Society.